edit point. Yay, we're back. Hi, welcome back to this week's best practices. We were going through, last week we were talking about corrections. In the beginning part of all of this process, we were basically talking about the mastering chain and what makes something mastered. And part of that means the errors are removed. And of course, the first question was, okay, when you're doing correction in the mastering chain, what is that? So just a little bit of correction, maybe a medium sort of correction? Are you going hard on the correction? And of course, that is a question you can't answer. There's no answer to how much correction you need because you don't know what the problems are. But the most important part of today is that I'm going to be playing it back for you all, and you're going to be guiding this process. So those of you who've made it to the live stream, congratulations, you're mastering engineers, and you're going to be mastering this song. So we've got it on deck. There are problems. I have isolated them, and in fact, we're just going to jump right over to Ableton right now. So the problems exist within this loop locator. I've got a little bit of pre-roll on the premaster, so you can kind of understand just a little bit, get your ears fresh, a little bit what's going on. We have a reference down here. So we're going to start at the beginning of this. We're going to let it roll, and you all just let me know when you hear the problems and what they are. Here we go. What do we got? Low end is not hitting super hard. Okay. Reference. Here we go. Let that reference roll for a second. All right, let's ghost this real quick. Let's throw the ghost on. All right, so ghost on. Reference. Main track. Reference. Main track. Reference. Okay. Main. This is our reference now in the ghost zone. And this is our main track again. So right away, everybody's looking in here for musical issues. And when we look for musical issues and we perceive that we're hearing musical issues, we will find ways to justify hearing musical issues. There are some problems. What most of you are hearing is actually a completely different problem. But because of our awareness and our focus, that's all we're noticing. So one of you caught, or a couple of you caught, a lot of sub in the ghost zone between our reference and our main track. Like, that's a significant difference. And so if our references are saying, well, it's a pretty rolled, I mean, it's a pretty even frequency response in the ghost zone, or we would want something similar in our reference. Whoa, buddy. So seeing some spike like this is highly problematic for the way we're operating. That's one problem. Another issue that we haven't even got into is mid-side balance. And we've just been listening with our ears. It's really hard until you know what a frame, like the ratio between mid and side sounds like. Really hard. And especially if you're in headphones right now, this one is very difficult. So a trick, if you'd like a way to work around this, is to not just meter mono or stereo, but to actually check what mid and side look like on individual subsets of meters. And so here is our main track. This is our reference, excuse me. I keep calling this in. This is our reference. And this is side and this is mid. And so look at, there's a ratio here. You can really see the pluck scent on this side operating, burp, 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 burp. And you can really see the kick and the snare and the sub in here taking up the headroom. So this makes sense. It's like everything here makes sense. And kicks and snares are in front in the mix. All that stuff is forward, which would make sense on the meters, that the mid band would be slightly louder than the stereo content. Let's look at our premaster. Wowzers. The sideband is something on the order of 6+ dB too loud, which is a nearly imperceptible thing to deduce if you don't A, know what you're listening for, or B, check it. I used to have meters before moving to Catalina that allowed the ability to actually see mid and side on level meters. But today, because I don't have those anymore, what I have here is I've just built one. If you have any sort of level metering that you enjoy, you can place those level meters into a mid-side splitter and check a look. You should get to know what framing looks like and sounds like when it comes to the mid-side balance. Because as soon as you start messing around in the sideband, and as soon as you start messing around in the mid-band, you're going to inevitably move one of these forward or backward. And maybe that's what you want. But you should know what your references are showing you to know where you should be placing this to begin with. So for starters, we've got a massive offset between mid and side in our premaster versus our reference. It's huge. And now you should be able to hear that. That muddiness, the lack of transient response, all those problems, the hat being differential, the plucks, the lack of bottom end, the lack of kick, all of those problems comes down to a mid-side offset. So let's fix that. We're going to go in here. I'm going to close these kids. We're going to go in here. I'm just going to stick an MS pack on here. You can use whatever you'd like to adjust mid-side. And I'm going to turn the side down. I'm going to turn the side down something like 7 dB. And I can do that actually. Let's just before I do that, let's just go back to Unity on that, and I'll get these meters open again. This is our mid-side metering. There's our side. There's our mid. This is our track. And so I'm just going to literally turn this down, and we'll just watch it sort of take shape. Check our reference. Okay. Okay. Maybe a little more. Okay. Highs in the reference are much more, but we haven't done any mastering here. Let's turn this maybe down a little bit more to match. Much tighter now, much more connected. Obviously, there's a in the master, in our reference, there's a lot more highs. And that's definitely an artifact of boosting or shelving or anything that we're going to do in there to influence that. But frame-wise, it's getting a lot more tight, yeah. And that mid-band now, it looks very similar. You can see here on the meters now, we have not nearly the same offset. Yeah. Great. So the first bit of this today is just around the awareness of what you're looking for and to know the environment you're trying to perceive that in. They will so often in mastering present themselves as X, Y, and Z. And that is inherent to lots of different issues. Could be that we could change the kicks, we could push the bottom end up, we could do all of these things. But we're getting the frame fixed without adding any phase by just simply seeing on our metering that there is an offset between mid and side.